Noah, can you also explain to those who don't know who Jarl Poof is?
He is like if a giraffe was hairless.
Start your sublight engines. It's time for RuPaul's Pod Race, a queer Star Wars podcast. Welcome back to another week of chaos. The journey to the Book of Boba Fett has begun. This is the first of our little preparation for our very special, our very special man who's going to be coming at the end of December. It's our Bounty Hunter episode. I'm Klaudia. My pronouns are she, her. My social media, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter is at Klaudia Says, at the Kaludia says. And my bounty hunter themed gender of the week is Djarin using a rent-a-car because he does not have a car anymore, and Boba Fett is off doing his own thing, and I think he's got a very divorced dad kind of energy. He doesn't have his kid, he doesn't have a car, he's just
Does he rent another Civic? Or is it a different model of car?
Okay, I think he's at a Toyota Camry.
I'm Noah. My pronouns are he, him. You can find me on TikTok at The Jewish Jedi. And my gender this week is Jango Fett's excess juices collector.
What?
Huh?
It's a fucking Jango juice joke. I hate you guys.
I see that, yeah.
For the listeners at home,
someone take a screenshot.
I will post a picture of this on our Twitter when the episode drops.
For the listeners at home, he did take a thermos water bottle and put a piece of paper
on it. It's a sticky note.
Whatever, that says...
It says excess Jango juice. They couldn't have used all of it to make a clone.
I did read that as extra small.
It's because I'm in chemistry right now. Also, it is a Rina Sawayama reference, but I guess not all of us are cultured. It's okay.
I got the reference.
Thank you, Mel. Thank you for your support.
Hi, I'm Jess. My pronouns are they, them. You can find me on TikTok and Twitter at Kawaii Jessio. And my gender this week is I'm Ezra Bridger and I'm Bossk. And you're watching Disney Channel. Because they did interact in one of the children's books.
I'm in love with the idea of Bossk doing the little Mickey Mouse logo dance.
Yeah, me too.
Just the imagery of that is a lot for me, and I really appreciate that.
Hi, my name is Mel. I use they, them pronouns. You can find me on social media at Melvin Culpa and specifically on TikTok at Grunkle Rex. And my gender this week is Totoro Calican. You know, the bounty hunter Toro Calican. Anyways.
Totoro, like my neighbor Totoro?
Yeah. This week, Ollie is not going to be joining us, and so I have been asked to announce their gender also from beyond. Ollie's gender is in carbonite, so just like Han Solo.
Ollie's Han Solo. But does that mean this is the War of the Bounty Hunters with the rest?
Yeah, everyone, quick! What is your bounty hunter? Not like the one that you're talking about this episode today, but which one from War of the Bounty Hunters are you?
I did not read the comic yet, so
I also have not read the comic yet. But I
Jess, tell us quickly.
Yeah, who's involved in this?
There's Boba. There's I don't know if y'all know about Valance.
I know.
I don't even actually really know if he's a bounty hunter. Sorry, I haven't actually read Bounty Hunters, like Star Wars Bounty Hunters. Who else is there? Freaking Zuckuss, my enemy. For
is Embo there?
Embo's not there.
Is Bossk there? I'll just be Bossk.
Bossk is there.
Is obsessed with Embo.
Bossk is there. Kira is there, but she's not really a bounty hunter either. But you know, she's there.
She's just a girl boss.
She's just a girl boss hanging out. What's his name? Fucking Dengar's there.
Not a lot of bounty hunters in this bounty hunter comic.
I am Dr. Afra.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Dr. Afra's there.
She's not a bounty hunter.
But she's not
a girl
bounty
boss.
hunter. She's just it's bounty hunters and girl bosses. So
it's
to
just
be
War of the
War
Girl
of
Bosses.
War of the girl bosses.
We're going to talk about all of our favorite bounty hunters other than Boba Fett. We will be talking about him in preparation next week. Who would like to begin?
I can actually go first. The bounty hunter that I'm talking about today is Jango Fett. So Jango Fett is a bounty hunter. In Legends, he does end up becoming the Mandalore, but that doesn't happen in canon. Canon, he's the guy responsible for donating a healthy quantity of Jango juice to the Grand Army of the Republic to grow their clone armies. So he is the progenitor of all clones. He is also in close cohorts with Craig, our favorite Grandpa Jedi, who I believe...
That's Dooku for those following along at home.
Not to be a fake fan on main, but I do believe it's Dooku that hires him, right?
It's Sifo Dyas. Wait, I've read Dooku Jedi Lost, but Mel, you read it recently?
That doesn't happen in Dooku Jedi Lost. But Craig hires Jango, who hires Sam to kill Padme.
Oh yeah, it's like it's Dooku's MLM. Well,
it's not
Palpatine's
yeah, it's
MLM.
Palpatine's
It's
MLM.
Palpatine's MLM who hires somebody who hires somebody.
I fucking hate that.
But like I for some reason I know so much about Star Wars, but then I think about like what occurs in Attack of the Clones to occur the Clone Army, and then my brain shorts out. So it's who they're like, oh, Jedi Sifo Dyas ordered the Clone Army.
Yeah. So this is how the scene goes. Fucking Obi-Wan struts him like a whore, and the Kaminoans are like, oh my god, finally the Jedi's here to get their clone army. And Obi-Wan's like, girl, what the fuck are you talking about? And they go and roll up and meet Jango, and Jango's like, oh yeah, Darth Tyrannus told me, come over here, donate your Jango juice, and I will pay you good. And he was like, sure. That is what happened. He does not know that it's Dooku. Well, I mean, he probably does know that it's Dooku.
Okay, but also Jango, like, buddy, the Sith have not existed for a while, and then this man being like, hi, my name is Darth Tyrannus.
Okay, well,
I'd like to hire you to give a lot of your Jango juice. And he's like, fuck it. Like, I mean, not like for moral reasons, but like, wouldn't you have a lot of questions?
He's a bounty hunter and it's money, but you want to know a really fun thing in Legends that further complicates this narrative? So, when Jango is the Mandalore and he is basically on the run from some people trying to blow him up for a long, complicated set of reasons, Jedi are dispatched to deal with this problem. Would you like to guess which Jedi Master is?
I know who it is. I know who it is.
Obi-Wan?
It's Craig Dooku.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Oh,
Craig
snap.
Dooku shows up on the scene with his Padawan. His Padawan murders.
Real Averos?
No.
Oh, this is
No,
Legends.
this is Legends. This is Legends. It's not.
Oh,
canon.
it's what's his name?
Kamari Vosa.
Oh no, then okay. I was thinking of somebody else.
Anyway, the point is, Dooku shows up. Jango is there. They're fighting. This is also when Jango is like, well, blasters aren't working. Start throwing things at them. So they launch projectiles, grenades, rocket launchers. It doesn't work. This culminates in my favorite piece of Jango Fett Legends lore, and this is all Legends. This is just from Wikipedia. He kills 6 Jedi with his bare hands.
That's very sexy of him.
Like,
Good for him.
I know that's not canon, but I was like, damn. Okay. Those are just like some fun, like, Legends.
Marshawn Rowe
facts
could
about Jango.
never.
So true, bestie. But I also was just like fascinated by that, because then I'm like, so wait, when Dooku calls you like a couple years later and you're like, hey.
He's like, I kind of recognize that voice.
The biggest difference, though, in his actual like canon story, so that's all Legends, and his Legend story, like most Legend stories, does go kind of off the rails, but it was actually pretty cohesive in the overview, which was nice. It was a fun read through. So canon Jango is basically what we see in Attack of the Clones, and not much before that. So I know that basically in Legends he was a spice miner slave, which I do believe eventually led to him getting the fire spray ship, like the now iconic one. Boba Fett starship.
Boba Fett starship.
Yeah.
Wait, and that's why he calls it Slave One?
Hashtag not my starship. What are you talking about?
Hashtag not my starship. This is long after he's been a slave, but yes, basically, he finds a series of six fire spray class ships and is like, I like this one, and he steals it, and that's how he ends up with it in Legends.
So he was originally a spice mine slave, and then he becomes a Mandalorian.
No. So he is a Mandalorian. His parents get killed by Death Watch. This is an overview, and I'm going to get some stuff wrong just as a disclaimer. His parents get killed by Death Watch. Jaster Muriel takes him in, the current Mandalore at the time, raises him. A lieutenant betrays Jaster Muriel. He is killed. Jango Fett goes back to the other Mandalorians and is like, this lieutenant is a jackass, and he abandoned my dad. And that's why Jaster Muriel is dead. So the other guy's like, well, Jaster would want me to be the Mandalore anyway. And they're all like, no, he wouldn't. We all hate you. So then Jango becomes the Mandalore. That battle I mentioned with Craig Dooku is also where most of those Mandalorians do end up perishing. So Jango is left alone for a hot second. And I believe it is in that period of time that he ends up becoming a slave.
He went from being the Mandalore to being a spice mine slave?
Yeah.
Fuck?
This is from Wikipedia. As a result of the Death Watch's machinations and the leader's aggressive reaction, Fett's true Mandalorians were wiped out. Fett, the sole Mandalorian survivor of the battle, was subdued by the Jedi, who were forced to deliver him into the custody of the governor of Galadron, which is the planet they were fighting on. Stripped of his armor, he was sold into slavery. And then he did spend years as a slave on a spice transport.
To our Mandalorian lore masters who I know listen to this podcast, we are so sorry that
Because I was about to say, I really enjoy Legends, but this is like my first time reading it, so if I fucked up a detail, I apologize. So that's most of his Legends backstory. His canon backstory is pretty simple. He's from Conquered Dawn. He's a Mandalorian. He's a bounty hunter. His life becomes very interesting to and relevant to the one and only Boba Fett when he has him as a child.
You say that he was he lived on Concord Dawn. Do we think he and Fen Rao knew each other?
I think they kissed on the mouth.
I'm gonna. Fuck.
I think that I'm quitting this
Fen Rao be younger though? How old is Fen Rao?
That's a great question.
I'll Google it. Hold on.
We don't have an age for him. He's just like haggard.
He's just weathered. He's just like a guy.
He's just like middle-aged white guy.
I like that this podcast always devolves into, do you think these two men kissed on the mouth?
Okay, listen, I didn't say that. Klaudia jumped to that. I just wanted to know if Fen Rao and Jango were besties.
We are literally a gay Star Wars podcast. That's not out of the realm of possibility.
Do we ever have an age for Fen Rao?
No, Fen Rao is literally just haggard white guy.
He's just a guy.
He's literally just a guy.
Some dude.
That's why he's one of my favorite Star Wars characters, because he has the audacity just to say, what if I was just like a little guy?
Okay, question. Do we think that Hondo Ohnaka and Jango Fett explored each other's bodies?
The answer's always yes if it's Hondo Ohnaka.
Fair. There was also this really interesting detail in Legends where he sticks around to like train the clones. He does not do that in canon for reasons. But basically, following that, it's pretty much just the events of the Clone Wars. Jango has Boba as like one of the beneficiaries from giving his Jango juice away to make all the other clones. He's like, I want an unmodified one, and I'm going to name him Boba. And then Jango is horrifically beheaded in front of him by one Mace Windu at the Battle of Geonosis. At which point, literally, it's
R.I.P.
like, sorry, I killed your dad. Which now we get to where Boba Fett is today. The thing I find interesting about this relationship is that in Legends, it's just like a domino effect of daddy issues. Like, Jango's birth father is killed in front of him. Then Jaster Muriel dies in front of him. And then Jango has Boba. And then Jango dies in front of Boba. And Boba's like, I've inherited 3 generations of paternal fuck-upness.
I mean, that's what Star Wars is about.
Daddy
it's about daddy issues. It always has been. That's what it always comes back to. We've had 2 characters come back from the dead because Maul and Boba. Because it's, if I don't see him dead on the floor, and Palpatine, I guess, if I don't see him dead on the floor, they're not really dead. And who's the other character we didn't see him dead on the floor? That's Mace Windu. All I'm saying is, if Mace Windu doesn't come back in the Book of Boba Fett, and we have to deal with Boba's daddy issues with Mace Windu in the picture, that's all I'm saying. If I'm staking my claim in the ground right now. If Mace Windu shows up in the Book of Boba Fett, I will have called it.
I did think for a good and solid minute that you were about to say that Jango Fett was going to come back for the Book of Boba. No! And it's like, bestie, his head got cut clean the fuck off.
No, he is a very good example in Star Wars of like, this is the one time where like we have seen someone perish. Like when they showed Maul die in Obi-Wan's arms, that was to be like, no, this person perished. I want to make it clear they died.
I did just consider the concept of Mace Windu showing up to Boba's palace on Tatooine with an ice cream cake that says, sorry, I killed your dad.
No, maybe it's Omega working with all the girl bosses in Crimson Dawn, and showing up with
what? No, why would Omega join Crimson Dawn?
You know what? Maybe she got recruited by all the girl bosses. You know?
Oh my god!
Spoilers for
for Bad Batch season 3.
No,
but Omega
spoilers for the comics, but like Sabe joined. Why is she there? Who knows? It's girl bosses. Much like Panaka with his girl boss Avengers. It's, it's like Maul with his girl boss Avengers. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't discredit Kira. Maul said I can like train you or whatever, but Kira is the Nick Fury of those girl boss Avengers. Maul was just like, I'm a fucked up little guy and I'm gonna go on Malachor now. Bye, idiots.
Kira and then said, "Okay, be free, my girl boss. Go do your own girl boss things." And then she started up her girl boss empire.
That's what Panaka did with Padme, and then all the handmaidens, they kind of like trained each other, and they were like, "Oh, we're girl bossing." Like,
I just thought of the concept of it's Charles Xavier's school for the gifted, but it's Kira's school for the girl boss predisposed.
It's like it's like Sha Ling in the MCU. Like, it's her girl boss school. It's just like that.
What was your favorite piece of Jango Fett media?
Well, he's not in a whole lot. I'm gonna say Attack of the Clones. For two reasons. Actually, not for two reasons. For several. One, because that movie was when I was a kid. I was like, do I like men? Like, that was the movie for me. Specifically that scene where Obi-Wan and Jango meet, and I was like, and I think I must have been like, I watched those movies when I was like growing up, so I was a child being like, something's happening here. Literally, something LGBT is happening to me. Yeah, that's what was happening in that moment. The other thing was that I like about Attack of the Clones, all the behind the scenes content of that movie, with the way that Tem chose to like play Jango, especially playing him in relation to Boba, made me extremely happy. And I was like, this is good. It's one of those relationships in Star Wars that I wish got more time, but like, because Jango is, dead. I hope that one of the things I hope that they explore in Book of Boba Fett is like Boba's relationship to living up to his father's not like standards, because Jango I don't think was that type of parent, but his legacy rather, of
honoring his legacy.
Yeah, this is what I have to be, which any plot that has to do with honoring your past does make me insane and does make me cry a lot. I think that's why I'm so excited for Book of Boba Fett, is that they're letting this character be a lot more than like the punchy kicky guy. Like, he has a long and complicated history. Especially, one theme that I saw consistently come up in Legends Jango Fett is like the status of Mandalorian, as in like, what does it mean to be a part of their culture on either end of that? Like, literally his whole life is motivated by the conflict between the true Mandalorians in air quotes and Death Watch. So like, that's really interesting. And it's something that I would love to see Boba engage with, especially after Fennec, she would never. Bo-Katan was clone racist to him and was like, you're not a real Mandalorian. And I literally want him to be like, what the fuck do you think a real Mandalorian is? I don't know if that conversation specifically will happen, but I really want to see a through line in the Book of Boba where he gets to explore what his culture means to him and how he expresses that. And like, I hope he basically goes up to her at the end of it and is like, yeah, fuck you, I'm more a Mandalorian than you'll ever be.
Well, I think it's definitely going to come up, because that was also mentioned in the Clone Wars, like briefly, I think by Almec or whatever, when they were like, oh, there was a Mandalorian guy, and he was like, he's not really Mandalorian. It was like, whoa, no need to be clone racist, Jesus. I think it is going to come up, but also like, I think however much they bring in from Legends or whatever, like, there's something very symbolic, and I feel like I talked about this last time or whatever, but about like, Din he wasn't brought up by Death Watch, but he was brought up by a splinter of the Watch, and then Boba is what's left of what was Legends of the True Mandalorians, and then they become allies. And there are all these themes in this post-Empire era of previous enemies working together. I've talked a lot about this with my theories of Thrawn. When they introduced Boba, like, it came from, like, he was like, oh, it was a reference back to Attack of the Clones when he was like, oh yeah, I'm just a simple man making my way through the universe. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna cry. But there was also like, it was a reference to like fatherhood, because that's what the Mandalorian is about. And he saw Din with Grogu, and like, so I just think that it's very, anyway.
So true, bestie.
Having one of those moments.
You mentioned earlier that Tem made some intentional choices with his acting as Jango to Boba, and you didn't really go into detail. So I know the story, but I would love to hear it.
So Daniel Logan is the one who plays young Boba in the I almost had the Phantom Menace in Attack of the Clones. And when Tem was on set with him, there are all these great videos of him literally being like, so I'm going to call you son and you're going to call me dad, because I don't remember how old Daniel Logan is when he made this movie, but he is literally like
He was
9.
like 13.
Yeah, he's a baby still. So Tem like makes a very deliberate effort of like making him feel comfortable and like excited and like having a good time on like a giant movie set in the middle of making something as big as Star Wars. And it's just like a bunch of very heartfelt moments between the two of them, which I feel like in the few moments we do get of their interactions does really shine through. Like, I liked that a lot. I was like, wow, this is actually really adorable. Also, shout out to Tem as an actor for being like, you know what would make this feel more authentic is if this kid actually felt like he was my child and I treated him as such. It's shit like that makes me love Star Wars, but that specific behind the scenes content was like, okay, I am a Jango Fett stan. I'm comfortable saying that. I would marry him and then be grandfathered into being Boba's stepdad. I'm just saying, if I had married Jango Fett and he got beheaded, then Boba would not have had to hang out with Aura Singh. I could have prevented that.
So true.
She is not a girl boss. She's a bitch, and I hate her.
Damn.
The two genders.
Not girl boss and bitch. Oh.
I'd love to see some callbacks to him in Book of Boba Fett, and I like to see Boba actually processing his grief. I did just also have the thought, I don't remember exactly what Boba's armor colors symbolize directly, but I would love to see him maybe repainting it at some point to reflect his like growth as a character.
That is very powerful. That just reminds me of in the Book of Boba Fett trailer, there is this it's a very quick little shot at the beginning where that pit droid gives Boba his helmet and Boba holds it in his hand and like looks it down at it, and it reminded me so much of Attack of the Clones, and I was like, oh yeah.
Speaking of that, I know y'all said you didn't read War of the Bounty Hunters, but in issue 0, I'm pretty sure, of War of the Bounty Hunters, Boba does have like a little moment where, you know, he has to repaint the armor again in like a temporary like paint. So he has all black armor, and he does go by the name Jango to enter like into this arena contest. And when he's about to enter into that arena, he does like think about the freaking moment from Attack of the Clones where he's like holding the helmet as a kid after his dad was like killed. I'm
gonna cry.
When I read that, it did make me tear up.
My bounty hunter that I'm presenting to y'all today is Bossk, which I legitimately forgot that Bossk has a full ass name. It like Bossk is the shortened version of his name, and looking at his full name again did make me think of like Thrawn, because it does have like, you know, the apostrophes in it.
Wait, what are the naming conventions?
I don't know the naming conventions of Trandoshans, okay?
Holy shit, my brain has shifted into Doctor Who mode because I just called them Silurians, and I was like, that's not correct.
Get that out of here. Anyway, his full name is, I'm gonna like freaking butcher his name. I'm so sorry, Bossk. But it's Bossk Wasak Kradosk.
I wonder what Skier's full name is.
I wonder too.
Bossk Wasak Kradasik.
That's his father's like name, by the way. Which I don't know how to pronounce it, but I was just saying Kradosk. But yeah. So as we all know, Bossk, our funky little Trandoshan man, his first appearance is, you know, in Empire Strikes Back, along with like the other like bounty hunters and like Boba, where it's just like, hey, we're the squad. Vader's hired us to get fucking Han Solo. I was looking at his Wookiee page, and apparently Bossk has a sister. Did y'all know that?
Wait, I did know this. She
yeah,
appears in a comic?
No, she appears in From a Certain Point of View, Empire Strikes Back.
Yes! I literally just read that book. Yes!
Okay, I just had, it was beamed into my brain. I don't know how to say this without sounding what it is, but basically, she is a girl Bossk. It's like girl
Bossk.
Kill you.
Wait. So
hey, I hate to tell you this, that joke has already been said on this podcast. I believe it was Ollie's gender one week.
Wait,
yeah, okay. It was.
Wait,
I believe it was the girl boss episode.
I'm going to become the fucking Joker. We are officially out of content.
I remember reading this and going, oh my god, it's like poetry, it rhymes, because Bossk has a whole story with his sister who he didn't grow up with and he didn't know. Yeah. Basically, that's just like Boba and Omega.
Oh my god, I was gonna
like
say
Boba.
Luke and Leia, but it's also Boba and Omega.
Well, no, it is like Luke and Leia know that they are adopted, and like they don't know that they have a sibling, but they know that they're adopted. Boba thinks he's not an only child, but like because there's clones.
He's like, I'm the only special child.
But yeah, he knows that he thinks he's the only special boy, and Bossk is the same. Basically, they go into like
Yeah. I read the thing where it's like he thought that like he had eaten all of his other like siblings as like when they were eggs still, but it turns out they're Trandoshans, okay?
Yeah, that's what they do. They're reptiles.
The strongest will fucking eat the others.
It's like he ate his twin in the womb, but then he didn't.
Except
She survived.
it's like a bunch of like hatchmates or whatever, clutchmates. Except, yeah, her egg was broken or something. And apparently their dad sold her egg for fucking Kowakian rum. Kowakian, sorry. Words.
Not his dad being an alcoholic.
Bossk fucking sold his broken, like, the broken egg. He's just like, here you go, give me some rum. I know I didn't read the story, but that's, like, a little fucked up. And she's really cool. She is a, like, Wookiee liberator, like, you know, on Kashyyyk, trying to like save the Wookiees from like enslavement, and she does like tell Bossk to stop fucking hunting Wookiees, because you know that's what Trandoshans do. They have that weird fucked up relationship where they go and hunt Wookiees, and when Bossk and her meet, and she's just like, stop hunting the Wookiees.
Oh, she has like a Tarzan kind of story where she like she grows up with the Wookiees, and they're like, we know you're not one of us, but it's okay. And like, and they're like, you're just a fucked up looking Wookiee.
What a fucked up looking Wookiee.
It's like she literally has
a non-moisturized Wookiee.
Yeah, no, literally.
A hairless Wookiee.
No, literally, it's like a Zeb. Have you never seen a hairless Wookiee situation? And then like, and yeah, and she also like an albino?
I'm not sure. I know she is technically like disabled because of her Finding Nemo moment.
Because the Wookiees eventually join the rebellion. Like, she joins the rebellion, doesn't she? Or she was like on her way to join the rebellion when Bossk tries to kill her.
I don't remember the name of her ship, but I forgot that she does have the cool alias Chainbreaker. So
that's fucking metal as hell. I'm obsessed with that.
Yeah, because she's freeing Wookiee slaves, so they called her Chainbreaker.
Daenerys Targaryen, eat your heart out.
No, literally, literally. No, so like, I want Boba to be like, you know, setting up his little thing, whatever, and then Omega and Bossk is with him, and then Omega and Bosk's sister show up and be like, hey!
Sorry, like, Sid, I found a new Trandoshan bestie. Her name, I don't know how to pronounce her name either, but it's like...
Barika?
No, it's not Barika! Shut up! This isn't Thrawn! Doshanalawuk. I'm gonna spell it out.
Star Wars is just daddy issues and lost sisters. That's all it is.
Which is just daddy issues.
Well, yeah. It's like, hey, did you know this character has a secret sister? Like, every time.
I love where just like, why don't we just give them a secret sister? Yeah.
Doshanalawuk? Is that the sister's name?
Yeah, that's her name.
So, yeah.
But anyway, getting back to Bossk. So yeah, you know, before, like, he's a fucked up little guy. He's a bounty hunter because his like dad. He worked with like Aura and her little group after like Jango had passed away, and they're like, okay, we'll take care of Boba. But then, you know, after they failed to kill fucking Mace Windu and they get sent to prison, Bossk is just like, I guess I'll take care of Boba. And you know, they're friends, and it's kind of like sad that like Bossk and like Boba kind of have a falling out, because they're like, you know, they're like pals, and Bossk does have like a respect for Boba, because he's like, yeah, that's kind of like my son, even though I don't know whose goddamn white baby that is. But
how old is Bossk in relation to Boba? Is it like a Han and Chewie situation where Bossk is like, this is my fucked up little son, Boba?
Do we have a canon age for Bossk?
I don't think so. Like, I didn't see anything on the
69.
Wookiee page. Not 69. God
Nice.
Google just says that he's 88.
Yes.
We have no idea how long Trandoshans live.
I think they would live a decently long amount of time, right?
They're reptiles. Reptiles
live ancient.
Yeah. I mean, Jarl's been around for a while. He isn't a reptile.
He's not. He's
hairless
like he's not a fucking reptile. So he and Boba, they went to prison. Eventually, sometime down the line, I guess they like separate because like somehow Bossk goes back to, I guess, like doing bounty hunter stuff, and he ends up on Lothal where he meets Ezra Bridger before Ezra meets Kanan and all of them. So this is still when Ezra's living his Aladdin life, being a
fucked up little 14-year-old.
Yeah, fucked up little, like, I don't even know if I think Ezra's already 14 when he meets Bossk, but like, he's running around the streets and they get into hijinks together. I need to read that book too because it sounds funny. Eventually, Bossk does go back to being a bounty hunter, I guess, because Empire Strikes Back, he's there trying to.
He needs money.
Also,
yeah,
fun
he
fact,
needs money.
I do believe he does offer Ezra a job and like an opportunity to leave Lothal, but Ezra's like,
but Ezra's just like, nah, no
my
thanks.
parents could come back, I guess.
It's like Ray.
Just like, yeah, he's like, my parents might come back. I'm gonna stay here, and Bossk is like, okay.
I've been doing some digging in this conversation because I needed to know the answer to this. So I cannot find an age for Bossk on the internet anywhere besides like Star Wars Wiki, but frankly, meh. However, it does say that Trandoshans have an average lifespan of 60 standard years. So if Bossk is in his 80s, he is literally he is on death's door. He has had an AARP subscription for a long.
Oh my god, this has the same energy as when people were like, "How long do like echidnas live?" or something like that, and they're just like, "Oh no, Knuckles is dying."
Knuckles.
In War of the Bounty Hunters, Bossk does make an appearance because he's also after the fucking Han Solo like bounty because it's for a lot of goddamn credits, and Bossk is like, I too am a slave to capitalism and need the money. And it's like, again, I said fucked up because he did respect Boba, but then obviously he's like, get out of the way, Boba, because I need the money. And Boba's just like, fuck you, Bossk.
Fuck your life, Bing Bong.
Get in my way, like, find out what happens. And what happens is, spoilers for War of the Bounty Hunters, Boba does, like, tie Bossk up to a rock, basically. They're in the snowy place, too, and know that Bossk is a Trandoshan, so they are cold-blooded. And he also blasted Bosk's legs off because Bossk was going to kill Boba. And so
he'll be fine. It grows back.
I know, because he's just like, my legs, and it's just like they'll grow back. But then,
oh god, just like Skier High Republic.
Yeah,
that's his last name. It's High Republic.
Yeah, Skier High Republic. But fucking Boba is just like, okay. He's like, why were you going after me, Bossk? And Bossk is just like, it's because Jabba put a bounty on your head for not bringing Han Solo to him, and Boba's just like, fuck off, Jabba. And then he just was gonna leave Bossk there, tied up to a rock in this snowy place, and he's just like, wait. It's like, don't leave me here, Boba. It's like, I'm cold-blooded. And then Boba, this was like the most like, I thought it was really badass, but also in a fucked up way. But Boba just responding, so am I, as he leaves Bossk to die in the snow. It's okay, someone saves Bossk, so Bossk is still alive, I think.
I do respect that response. Ugh, Boba, I do love
That's why I'm just like, let me see Bossk in, the Book of Boba Fett so that they can reconcile and be like, sorry, I left you to die in the snow, Bossk.
POV, Mace Windu and Bossk show up on the doorstep with twin ice cream cakes. One says, sorry, I killed your dad. The other says, I forgive you for abandoning me on a snow planet.
They both text him with the I lived, bitch.
I love the idea of Mace going through the trouble of getting his phone number and then being like, you know who I gotta give this to? Bossk. He'll really want to text him about this.
I'm pretty sure Bossk is alive.
I think he showed up in the trailer. Like, it was a really far away shot.
Like, I wasn't
Fennec
sure.
walking in with somebody, and I was like, that's Bossk.
Because I know there's, like, Trandoshans that showed up. I'm just like, hello, Bossk, are you there?
But who else wears that funky little jumpsuit?
That's true. When, there's, like, that Trandoshan wearing a sweater in in the Book of Boba Fett trailer. Where's Bossk's funky little sweater, huh?
I do love the sheer amount of nice sweaters that are in The Mandalorian as like a section of Star Wars.
What is your favorite piece of Bossk media?
Again, like I haven't read Bounty Hunters, so I'm not sure if Bossk is like in those comics. I know there's like Bounty Hunters, obviously, and Star Wars Bounty Hunters, the comics. Based off just the things I've seen with Bossk in them, I guess just Clone Wars, even though those times we do see him, he is with, sadly, he's with Woba. Not Boba, just Woba, but at least he's being like the cool uncle and being like, I'll take care of my fucked up little son. I'll do it for you, Jango. Do you think Bossk and Jango have kissed in the mouth?
Yes.
We asked this question less than 20 minutes ago.
You know what? Yes.
And the answer was yes.
I thought we asked that
Wait,
about...
is that why Boba leaves him? He's like,
he's like, I know you kissed my dad on the mouth. Did you fuck my dad, Bossk?
As an addendum to my ice cream cake fantasy, there's an asterisk on Bossk's cake that says, I forgive you for leaving me on a snow planet. And then a second cake that says, also sorry I fucked your dad. And then Boba's like, you what?
Oh my
You
god,
what?
Jango Fett and Orla Jareni are canonical Trandoshan fuckers.
But yeah, I do like Bossk, I guess, in like Clone Wars. I know he shows up in like the little Racco Ardeen, like Obi-Wan faking his death arc, because that's when you see Woba in prison, and Bossk is there like, hey.
I think what I like so much about Bossk is like he has that like, hey, it's me, Bossk vibe. But also, I just enjoy him because he is taking care of Boba's tether, Woba, and that is very powerful.
Boba's tether.
He has to deal with Aura Singh. I'm pretty sure Bossk didn't like Aura Singh either.
What do you have against Ariana Grande? What did
Oh!
she do?
I forget. Did Aura Singh die?
Yes, Tobias Beckett killed her.
Oh yeah, right.
Tobias Beckett, thank you for your
That's
service.
your one good thing. But yeah, that's all I know about Bossk, because I didn't get a chance to like do deeper Bossk research. Bossk, I'm sorry, I do love you. I have a Bossk on my shelf.
So we've talked about a lot of bounty hunters, but we haven't talked about, you know, the man, the myth, the legend, Djarin. Call me sweet girl because he's my favorite.
We're not talking about Thrawn this week, so you can't bring up Timothy Zahn's award-winning book, Rough Day, on this podcast. Not right now.
Yes, spoilers for Rough Day by Timothy Zahn, because we did get an early reading copy of the next couple chapters. But
It's myth rough.
Myth, Rough Day. Anyway, talk about
Rough
Djarin.
Day? What the fuck?
No. I wanted to talk about Djarin because I'm obsessed with him, and I love him very much. And we're talking about bounty hunters, specifically ones that are connected to Boba, because Djarin did show up in Boba's life and was like, oh, maybe I do care about the power of fatherhood and family. And Din is also dealing a lot with what it means to be a Mandalorian, and I think those themes are going to carry into the Book of Boba Fett, and obviously Mando season 3. I mean, they've said that the Book of Boba Fett is supposed to basically just be like another season of The Mandalorian. I mean, Boba is a Mandalorian kind of deal. Will Din show up? Who knows? There's not a lot of extended material about Din because his story is not fully developed yet, so like, you all know pretty much as there is to know about Din, unless there are little factoids that I missed. What media is he from? I don't know, guys. Can somebody look it up? No, he is the Mandalorian. That is his name.
I've never heard of that.
I'm
Can you
pretty
explain that to me?
Yeah,
I think
I
Clone
heard
Wars.
he's from. I thought he was a Legends character.
I will say this. I was talking about Star Wars with my family over Thanksgiving, and I mentioned Pedro Pascal and the Chilean election, and then I was like, yeah, you know, the guy who plays the Mandalorian, and my mom was like, I thought the Mandalorian was like a little green person, and I was like, no, that's his baby child. I will say though, there's a lot, like, there's so much Grogu that we do forget that it is about him. I just think he's neat. What's my favorite piece of media that he's in?
Easy, Rough Day.
Yeah, Rough Day by Timothy Zahn. Easy peasy. What is his deal? What is his deal? His deal is that he's a single dad that's having a fucking rough time. Like, he's just...
You could almost say he's having a rough
Get
time.
out! He's having a rough time. I think I talked about this on Chaco's podcast or whatever, of like, the best Star Wars characters are the ones who are like the straight man in the scene, who are the ones being like, this is ridiculous, right? Who are just like having a bad day and are like being like, what the fuck is going on around me? Wootro is like that. Reith Silas is like that. I was like, guys, and I very much feel like Din is like that, and I think that's why he's very interesting, because he's like, yeah, I'm a badass gunslinger, but he's also like, they took my guns, whatever, and like being mad about it, and then his ass getting kicked, and he just falls off of the... I think that was when I fell in love with him, was when he gets his ass kicked by the Jawas, and he just falls off of the thing, and I was like, wow, this show is really just about beating this man to a pulp, and it's very funny. I love slapstick comedy. But he's just very relatable. He's like, I'm having a rough day at work, and I gotta stop saying
He's having a rough day?
Okay, I think we should put a rough day count. If you count how many times we said the phrase rough day in this
I don't
episode,
need
I will
to.
give you a prize.
No, I don't
What is the
want
prize?
It's
Probably
the early reading copy of the next chapter of Rough Day.
Okay, I was
Timothy
gonna...
Zahn.
Okay, I was gonna say a gift from Tom from Succession, but I guess that works too.
That is not a gift. That is a burden.
There's a lot of people who are like, you know, he's not inherently bad. He's also just a very relatable guy, and that like he's kind of like the rest of us. He's like struggling with the ills of capitalism and a dying empire, literally. And I'm like, so true, bestie, so relatable, and has a bunch of gay friends. And I think that what makes him very epic, obviously, is that, you know, he supports women, and he's like, you know what? You know who could handle this for me? A bunch of lesbians. And I love that for him. And he's like, I'm gonna drink soup with my little son. Other than the fact that I'm literally in love with him, I do think he's just a neat little guy. In relation to Boba, though, when they brought Boba in and they had him relate to Din in that way, of him, like, being introduced, of, like, he's like, who are you? Who the fuck are you? Who the fuck are you? I asked you first. I asked you second. That's a little Most Popular Girls in School reference for you. You didn't get it. I hate you people in the comments. In the chat.
We're talking about Tom from Succession.
Yeah, I know you're talking about Tom from Succession, and it's driving me
He's my
nuts.
Din Djarin.
It's my
Smells like the Star
I
Wars
hate
bounty
that.
hunter that I brought to the podcast today.
It's
is
Tom from
Succession.
I think he's just very relatable, and he's just trying to survive late stage capitalism. So, and I think in Star Wars as a whole, when we deal with capitalism, it is usually through the bounty hunters, because they're the people who are like, dude, I'm literally just here because I need money and like to get
They're
by.
literally part of a union.
Yeah, well, they're part of a guild. They're more like IATSE than, well, which is a union, to be fair, but they're freelancers, but they're a part of a thing. And could one say that Din Djarin is a scab? No, because he's not after he saves Grogu, he doesn't work for anybody else. He goes against the union's rules, but the union's rules are unethical. So, you know what? He supports labor rights, and that's another great part of him that I really enjoy. We haven't talked a lot about how the bounty hunters are a really good example of labor relations in Star Wars.
Unrelated to the politics of labor unions in the Star Wars universe, I think what I love most about Din Djarin, aside from the fact that he is very sexy to me, and I am a Cobb Vanth enjoyer, so that is part of it. I like that his motivation in both seasons, literally just his empathy for other people, is the only reason why he like stops to do things. Like, I know a lot of people complained as The Mandalorian was coming out. They're like, every episode he just goes to a planet and helps out some rando and then leaves. And I'm like, yeah, it's great.
I
love
enjoyed
that
a lot.
And like, that's the
Literally-
perfect storytelling format for me personally, because I can't pay attention that well. But I also just like Din's motivation for going back for Grogu is he literally is like, I have done something that I morally disagree with, even though I did it for money and I got what I wanted out of it. That is a life. That is a living being that I have just thrown away for cash, and I don't want to be that person. And he literally, like, in a moment of empathy for a being he knows next to nothing about, is like, I'm gonna save a life right now. And I'm like, you know what? That's very powerful of you. I appreciate that. Which is literally how he ends up in every other hilariously insane situation, is all because he just cares about the people in his life.
One could say that it's very Jedi of him, where he goes around and he helps people selflessly. He's like, people are always like, oh, Din is very like, oh, what is a Jedi? Not him. He doesn't stumble into what is a Jedi. He stumbles into acting like one without knowing it as well, and I think that's very sexy of him.
Yeah, that is something I am very passionate about, is that I feel like a lot of people have, I don't want to say they don't understand the character or whatever, but like I think there is a fundamental misunderstanding of Din when people are like, "Oh my god, he's such a himbo," because like actually Din is very, very smart. Truly a remarkable tactician, but he doesn't know like certain facts that we as the audience of course know because we're watching a Star Wars. But like, yeah, sure, he doesn't know what a Jedi is because he was a child during the Clone Wars, which, if I'll remind you at what happened at the end of the Clone Wars, all the Jedi got murdered in a passion.
Spoilers for Clone Wars.
Spoilers for not Attack of the Clones, for Revenge of the Sith. Yeah, they all die very hard and very bad, and he was just like a child. Like, if you were 8 years old in some random faction religion that might not have had any influence, we still don't know if Din was from a Republic planet or from a Separatist planet or a neutral system, which is something I would love to learn more about. Of like,
he was probably either from a Republic planet or a neutral system, because we see when he is being rescued by the Mandalorians as a child, we see like droids attacking the planet, so I'm assuming that it would be one that's not already obviously controlled by separatists.
Yeah.
The treatment of him as like a stupid character, like I think there are moments that are intentionally written to be funny when he doesn't understand. Like Boba being like, they'd recognize my face, and him being like, what the fuck are you talking about? That's a very funny moment. I don't think that it invalidates the intelligence of his character. I made a video on this like months ago, because like he speaks like several languages. He's one of, like 4 people in the Star Wars universe that is like, I'm gonna take the time to get to know the Tuskens and learn their language and culture and practices, that I'm not an asshole all the time, which pays off like more than once over the course of the show, which is a wonderful detail. But I also just think like he's also one of the few characters that I'll tolerate in fanon, knowing Mandoa and speaking it in his day-to-day life. The exoticism of languages in fanon is
brown man moment.
Literally, I'm like, ew.
Yeah.
Is Mandoa the new Spanish? Please,
Yes.
It's like, tell me you don't speak another language without telling me.
I mean,
literally.
I also did choose Djarin because, he's Chilean. Hi, he's mine. I take him. He's mine. I will say, when we were talking about Jango earlier, he's the only one who does canonically, other than Sabine speaks it like once. A couple words when they're flying over not Crimson Dawn, they're whatever planet her mother is on. I don't think it is Mandalore itself. Is it Mandalore itself? She speaks it a little bit, and then Jango speaks it like a couple words to Boba.
It's Crown's Nest. That's not the name of the
Crohn's
planet.
disease?
No.
Exactly. No, it's Crown Nest is where Sabine speaks Mandoa.
I like the world building aspect of, and this is, I would like to see this from Din, of he grew up in a very traditional form of Mandalorian society, so he would not grow up speaking it exclusively, but he's a polyglot who knows a ton of languages. It would be very cool, whatever, if he grew up bilingual. If he grew up, speaking that, and, there's even, a lot of people talk about the clones having a specific form of Mandoa that they developed themselves because, they didn't grow up with everybody else. But, wouldn't he also have one because he grew up with not even just Death Watch, but like a very specific one splinter of Death Watch?
One trend that I noticed in The Mandalorian that I actually didn't like was they frame him. So he comes from a very, what I would be comfortable calling, orthodox version of Mandalorian society, and having him move away from that is like a really huge positive. I didn't love, just because like he's not really a part of Death Watch. Like the covert he grows up in is not very like they're not the same vibe. I don't actually know if they're the exact same, but I believe that they aren't.
It's fucking post Vizsla and all his besties.
No, not post
Vizsla.
Vizsla.
My point is just I don't want to see a plotline of him like necessarily giving that up over the course of like the rest of his character. Like, frankly, I would be totally cool if we never see his face again. Like, I think that would be an honestly fine story beat, because to me, him doing like taking off his helmet in season 1 and season 2 are like, yes, your culture is important. However, there are moments of necessity where you have to make a difficult decision between what you are raised with and what you carry and what you need to do to survive. And those are not the same thing. But that said, I don't want to see him like slowly abandon pieces of what he grew up with as like a plot line, if that makes sense. I feel like I'm rambling, but like that's where I'm coming from.
I remember when the finale came out and a lot of people seeing the ending as like some sort of evolution for him. And I was like, actually, it's a personal evolution in him finally accepting that he is Grogu's father and stuff like that. But I saw it as very much in line with his culture and not a deviation from it at all. It was him like realizing more about himself and his relationship to his culture that he may have abandoned a lot of, because he's just been like doing his thing. He's had to hide a lot of it to escape the Empire, and and been protecting the rest of his covert, and also just like working and whatever, and he's connecting more with his culture, whatever. And a lot of people were like, oh, he took it off and he's shedding something, whatever. And I was very adamant when that came out that I was like, another huge tenet of Mandalorian culture, whether you're a part of the culture that you wear a helmet all the time or not, is protecting your foundling or whatever, and not just protecting your foundling but raising them or whatever. So like whatever he does in service to that, I think is very on the rail and very on brand for that. When Bo-Katan is like, oh, were you guys a cult or whatever? And he's like, fuck off, bitch. Like, he doesn't like start on this path of like, oh, maybe I'm wrong or whatever. He's already been on a path of, who am I? What does it mean to be a father? What does that mean with my culture? Whatever. He's already had to take it off once to save somebody, whatever. And what she says kind of doesn't mean anything. And also, the conversations that he has with Boba actually mean more than the conversation that he has with her. And the conversation that he has with Boba is about the armor as well, and what that means and fatherhood. So I would hope that it would follow in that philosophy, especially because hopefully we find out, what the fuck happened to Mandalore. Can he rediscover a lot of things that have probably been lost about his culture as well?
Surprise, surprise, who would have guessed I chose Fennec? Fennec Shand is a bounty hunter. She's a little girl boss. We first met her in season 1 of The Mandalorian, where she does get fridged by Toro Calican. At the end of that episode, she is saved by one Boba Fett, and their story from there becomes inherently intertwined, because Boba saves her from the sands of Tatooine, and that whole situation. But her technical, in terms chronologically, her first appearance is in Bad Batch, where she's hanging out with Boba's sister, Omega. So she just has a story that is very much so walking down the same road with Boba, but on different sides of the street. Where it's she is clearly doing things. I was reading her Wikipedia page. She worked for the Hutts. She straight up worked for the Hutts, and very well likely at the same time as Boba.
I mean, who hasn't at some point? Yeah.
But two very epic bounty hunters working for this crime syndicate at the same time. They have that kind of it's you find one of your former coworkers dying in the street, and you're like, wouldn't it be funny if I saved their life and they got a life debt for me? Cool. And then you did that. So yeah, Fennec is just a little girl boss. Her story is just inherently going to be intertwined with Boba's because of, one, from literally her early 20s of interacting with Omega, who is Boba's literal sister, to being saved by Boba on Tatooine, and then deciding to work together, and then being like, hey, You know what? It would be funny if we went and threw like a Molotov cocktail at our old job and like made that our little place. And I'm obsessed with that. I'm also obsessed with. I read several interviews with Ming Na Wen about how what she feels and thinks about Fennec Shand, and she talks about how Fennec was so solitary and like has like this has this idea that she can do it all on her own. And so seeing this like development of her character is that she realizes like, hey, needing people isn't a bad thing, and like she has to be literally forced with death to be like, hey, actually maybe it's okay for people to help me and I want to help other people.
I'm in love with that entire characterization of her. Something that I noticed, like both in her interactions in The Mandalorian, but also like in the trailer for Book of Boba Fett, is that shift in her of like, I'm going to start caring about people and things. I would even go so far as to say that like this grouping of Star Wars pieces of media, like the central thesis is that like empathy is a good thing, actually.
The fact that both of them have accepted that it's okay to need other people and to like have that support, which is something that Boba has denied himself and Fennec has denied herself, really has serious effects on their lives. Because, you know, you see, like, for example, Boba pushes away Bossk. Boba pushes away, like, whatever out of, you know, either unprocessed trauma or just, like, being an asshole because you can be an asshole sometimes. And that happens, especially when you're in, like, your, you know, 20s to 30s. Maybe you need to grow up a little. It's fine. You grow up when you get thrown into the Sarlacc, right? Because that's something else we're going to see, hopefully, in Book of Boba Fett is, like, I'm assuming the Tusken Raiders save Boba. And, like, Boba, that is the beginning of Boba seeing a path of, like, hey, actually accepting help from people is okay. Having a community is fine. And if I'm going to honor my father's legacy, I'm going to need to understand that I need other people in my life.
Also, his like you mentioned his like unprocessed trauma, which like he has buckets full of. I did just have the thought though, the idea that as Fennec, as his enforcer, gets herself in more and more danger over the course of the show, I'm interested to see how he reacts to that. Because I just had a terrible thought of him like actively pushing her away at some point because he's like, you're getting in worse and worse situations as a result of being in proximity to me. And people who do that tend to end up dead. And I don't want that to happen to you.
No.
Like, that's what I'm thinking about. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I think it'd be interesting to see him react to like someone that he's close to getting in more and more danger over time.
That is totally something I could see happening. And then, oh my gosh, here's my most problematic opinion. And it's not even problematic. It's just like, I hate to admit it, that I'm like, listen, I do think that there's something very powerful about two very lonely people finding each other and being like, damn, that's my person. And it doesn't have to be romantic, but you know what? They are maybe one of the few like straight ships in Star Wars. So I'd be like, because first of all, I don't think either of them are straight, but I'd be like, you know what? I'm fine with this. I can live with this.
They'd be like Kanan and Hera for me. I'd be like,
exactly.
They're bi for bi. Like, totally.
I'm not gonna lie. My thoughts on this are somewhat shifted because notably a couple weeks ago I was like, please don't make me see heterosexual Boba Fett. However, the more that I think about Fennec Shand and the more content I see of Book of Boba Fett, the more that I'm like, you know what? Actually, because like, I don't know. I feel like the thing that I don't like about straight romance, besides the fact that it's gross, is that it's so often like forced between two characters. And I would, if they were to start like being romantically involved, I would buy it. That's like, I guess that's like what I've thought about is like seeing what I think they're gonna do with these characters. I'm like, you know, I would actually believe that they liked each other enough.
They have
spend
good
their
chemistry
time together.
But this is my thing is that we're thinking of them as like whole characters, whatever. They're like conceptually with a lot of things they could definitely work. My thing is that like in practice, Star Wars always lets me down. So I'm like, in reality, I cannot let that happen. Cause I am just afraid. Like I'm like, they're all, like you guys are saying, like all the elements are there that it could be very good. And it would be also very sexy and funky fresh of them. They're like, we've talked about this before, but like it's very cool that like a lot of the Star Wars main characters are like not young people anymore. They're like you know, people at least past their 30s, and they're not white people either that would be, you know, kissing on the mouth. And I think that's very great of them, and I think that would be great. However, I do not think it would be done well, and I don't have any confidence. And maybe I'm just a
because I feel the same way, Klaudia, where I'm like really afraid, or it's just like, I don't know if it's not done well, then I don't want it. I don't want your like forced straight ship, okay?
No,
That is fair, but also, okay, the other thing that occurred to me that I would find very, very funny is that like they go in for a kiss and then they're like, oh no. Like
well,
they get like less than an inch away from each other and they're like, we're both gay. Why are we here?
I'm also really just excited to get to see her get more characterization, because that was what I was really looking forward into Bad Batch. I was like, oh, maybe we'll get some more crumbs. And we did. We got literal crumbs. She has this moment of like, hey, Omega, let it be, you know, a false guise of like luring a child that you're actively hunting for sport. Well, not for sport, for money. And like,
Because that's better.
Well, she like was hunting her, but it was like to keep her safe, technically.
Yeah, she was a protector, just not in the Fenrau way. Oh my god, I want to see Fen. I just want to see Fenrau. God damn, I found myself in the Fen corner.
Fenrau, but it's like Fennec.
They would be two pretty best friends. They're both characters who originally started as antagonists in the show that they were in, and then ended up becoming really cool, epic girl bosses.
Oh my god, yeah.
I think it just comes with the territory of being named Fen. Anyways, so that is something I love about her. I think I like her in Mando more than I do in Bad Batch, though I did like her in Bad Batch, don't get me wrong.
The one thing I really see more than anything in Book of Boba Fett, let Fennec Shan do the chin touch.
I was literally just gonna say
we're all gay people here. We're all on the same page. Let Fennec Shan do that on screen, please.
Fennec and that Twi'lek MILF.
So
Literally. That's what I want. I don't care what happens in that show. I don't care if it is, what is it, 8 episodes, 9 episodes?
7, I think.
I love numbers. I don't care if it is just 7 episodes of Boba wistfully looking into a mirror. As long as there is one moment of Fennec Shan doing that little chin touch moment, I'll be happy. I'll be satisfied.
You said that, and now I'm just thinking concept of like Boba like having like a sad moment looking at like his helmet or something, and you see in the background this Fennec and the Twi'lek.
That's the whole show. It's 7 uninterrupted hours of that.
Fennec in the back be like, sup, baby? Take me out to dinner.
Well, Boba's just like being sad, thinking about his identity.
Just to wrap up the conversation we were having earlier about like the idea of Disney shitting and farting the bed when it comes to a Boba and Fennec relationship. One, I would be fine if it was platonic or romantic. I truly I just want to see a positive relationship between those two, regardless of what that means. So there's that. Secondly, I do know what you said earlier, something about the idea of Fennec and Boba looking at each other and being like, I don't know about that. I do love the idea of Boba Fett being like, I don't know how to express myself right now, so I'm just gonna Keldabe kiss you real quick and just bonks her on the head. And she's like, okay, I don't know what the fuck just happened there.
Boba slams her through a wall with his helmet. She's like, what the fuck was that for? And he's like, I don't know how to talk about my feelings.
Literally. It doesn't have to be romantic. It's literally just like, you know, like when you realize that you're friends with someone that you didn't think you were gonna become friends with, and you're like, and just slam your head against their head.
They go in for like a kiss scene, and Fennec's like, we're gonna kiss. And Boba like takes his hands on her shoulders and just throws his forehead at her. And she's like, what, you think you fucking concussed me? What was that for? And she goes like, I thought we were gonna kiss. And he's like, we did.
Every kiss begins with K! Keldabe!
You are correct. I think like strong relationships between men and women, especially if they're platonic, are very important, and that's actually that was a nice part of Din as well. I would actually cry if like they did have like Keldabe kiss moment of like, because you know, because it's also symbolic, because like he like as a friend, like, because he has that, like, with the helmet with his dad and whatever, and then it's like he has a new family now. Anyway, like, gay people do love Star Wars because of found family, and I think that would be very neat.
Maybe the found family is the people we found in the desert dead along the way.
Since we've talked about the job of bounty hunting and our favorite bounty hunters in Boba's life, we want to talk about what would our favorite bounty hunters be doing in our universe. They have other skills. What do you guys think?
I can go first off the bat. I do think Fennec Shand would be a female truck driver.
Oh, powerful. Truck driving.
I love that for her.
It's everything she likes. Solitary. There's an air of danger around it because the idea of being a truck driver is maybe one of the scariest things to me. Simply because I don't know if you guys are on truck driver TikTok. I am.
Yes!
The things that they have to do to go to bed at night in their little trucks. I'm like, holy fucking shit. That's something Fennec Shand would do. Also, is fire spray not just a truck?
Trucker Boba Fett.
That's kind of what he is. I will say, I do also love the idea of Fennec having one of those radios that she just talks at all day. And the other truckers are like, we can all hear you. And she's like, day 35 on the road. Haven't spoken to anyone in several days.
Shout out to the Alice Isn't Dead fans who are listening to this podcast. Fennec Shand, Alice Isn't Dead AU when?
Fennec Shand in like a trucker hat with like the mesh on the back. I think that's very powerful to me. I love that.
So
okay,
sorry.
You have like a big Carhartt jacket.
Yeah.
I love that.
I'm sorry. You said the trucker like hat, but then my freaking mind thought of the stupid like fishing hat that's just like women want me, fish fear me.
She would wear that though. Do we think that Fennec Shand would have novelty bumper stickers? Is she the kind of person?
Yes.
So this is my thought. She does not put them on her vehicle. She just has like a binder full of them that she's waiting to use. But she's like, no, if I put this on my vehicle, it's too personal. I can't do that.
She puts them on her laptop.
She has a scrapbook of different novels.
This was for my long haul to Corellia.
I love the idea of her being like, this is really important. Like Boba's like, what do you do in your spare time? And she's like, listen to disco and collect stickers. What about you? I love truck driver Fennec Shand.
Do you think that she would be popular on trucker TikTok because she's like a female truck driver?
Oh, hell yeah.
Experience?
Yeah. I don't think that she would start out with the intention of being popular as a truck driver. She'd be like, I'm going to post a video. But then people would be like, I love you. And that's like how it would snowball.
I hate that this is my one skill that I know I'm good at, is like assigning a job to a Star Wars character. Because I'm not to brag, I don't think I've ever been wrong about one of these.
No.
It's the problem, and I hate that.
I can go next, and I'm just going to straight up steal Mel's idea for this, which is I do think that Jango Fett would be in some kind of handyman capacity. Like plumber, electrician, or just kind of a do-it-all gal. I feel like he would have like, I mean, he already has a little gay tool belt, right? On his armor. Yeah. I just feel like he would have that. He always has like the rolled up sleeves and like the yellow hat. I love that for him.
And he has like a family business for his son.
Yes, exactly.
I thought about fucking Bob the Builder, but
get out.
Bob the Builder.
Yeah.
No, but Bob the Builder.
I do think that Jango is also the type of person where like he's very skilled in fixing whatnots. However, in his own home, if something breaks that is outside of his pay grade and Boba is like, can we please just call someone? You don't know how to change the Wi-Fi. He'll be like, no.
So I'm now imagining Boba's starship when it used to be Jango's with a bunch of decal stickers on it.
Also, followed by, I do like the idea of Jango Fett putting on his car, my son's an honor student. It doesn't matter if Boba actually is an honor student. He does have that on his car.
He's so good.
This is very powerful.
I do like the idea of Jango collecting the like, my son was student of the month at insert middle school here every month, even though Boba has never been student of the month.
I like the idea of Boba being like, yeah, Dad, here's the sticker that proves that I was a great student this month. And like Boba like clearly has either bought this from a store or online or something. Like it's not the right school, but Jango is like, oh my gosh, my son is doing so well.
No, literally, they live in like Southern California, and the school is from like Michigan. It's
No.
and Boba's like, yeah, I did good this month. And Jango reads it, and it's like, it's literally like Michigan is where the sticker is from. And he's like, yes, you did, son. I'm very proud of you.
I think he would also, when people do the family stickers with how many people were in the
The
family.
stick people.
Yeah, I think he
Yeah.
would do that.
I love that we have Fennec Shand closeted sticker enjoyer and Jango Fett public sticker enjoyer. The two gender. I'm in love with that concept. And then, of course, when he and I get married, I don't join the business, but I am adjacent to it.
Please.
You're the fucking bookkeeper.
Oh my God. Yeah. I balance all the numbers. I balance all the books. I keep everything organized.
Mine, it has to do with my gender this week. I do think that Djarin would be an Uber driver. Again, he's just trying to make some money. Eventually he does have a son, whatever. Again, he's working in late capitalism. So this is a late capitalism gig economy kind of job. I think he also kind of has one of those faces that people tell him shit and he's like, kind of how Din like just picks up people on jobs and is like, how the fuck did I get into this? Like, I think he's specifically a New York City Uber driver. Like, some crazy shit has happened to him. I have been in Ubers where I've talked to Uber drivers who talk about, like, picking people up during Pride and the crazy shit that occurs. And I feel like that's Din.
I do think that makes a lot of sense. I think, like, just gig economy worker Din Djarin, because here's a concept that I have now just thought of. Not only is he... Exactly. He's doing Instacart. It is Grogu, not just an Instacart order gone wrong. No! He delivered it to the wrong address.
No, he works on TaskRabbit. Or
yes, TaskRabbit or fucking this is not Grogu related. The idea of him on WAG, him walking other people's fucking dogs is the funniest shit. Like, that picture of Daniel Radcliffe where he has like 20 dogs attached to him? That's what I am picturing.
That's okay, but like valid. I 1000% see that. He has that energy too of like, he doesn't, if you get in an Uber with him, he'll be like, how is your day? But for whatever reason, you're like, you're going to tell him everything. And he's like, I just wanted you to say like, it's fine. And then we could both move on.
His Uber always is stocked with those little, the little mini water bottles. Like he always.
And it's very clean. Okay.
Yeah.
It might be an older car, but he vacuums it on a daily basis.
Yeah, it's an older car. It always has, like, some snacks, hand sanitizer, and always, like, the little water bottles and everything. And you're like, oh, this man knows what he's doing.
He has, like, a little picture of Grogu hanging from the review mirror, so people will intentionally ask, like, what's that? And he'll be like, that's my son. And then he'll start talking about it.
Oh, and he will talk to his son on speakerphone.
Yes.
While he's driving.
I like that.
This on the topic of stickers, Din Djarin does not have any stickers.
I agree. That being said, the idea of Din talking to his son on loudspeaker, but the only thing Grogu is saying back is "Patu" is so funny.
And Din's like responding in complete sentences too. He's like, no, exactly. So if you're gonna change the heater today, just make sure to keep it below 65. Patu. Yeah, you're so right. Thank you for that. Like, and he will not, like, the other person would be like, who the fuck is on the phone right now? The one thing I will say, I've seen people be like, oh, Din would run a daycare. No, he wouldn't. That man is parenting on a fucking thread. He is just barely hanging on.
Yes.
You think, and you want to put him with more toddlers? Because if you put him with more than one baby, he'll be like, there are more than one of you. What do I do now? I do also love all of the side characters in The Mandalorian just being people he picked up through Uber. Like he probably
Frog lady.
no, literally, Frog Lady's like, I have to go across town. I got places to. I love the idea of okay, no, because here's my thing. I know that I'm going to talk about Cobb Vanth, and I'm so sorry, but like, here's my thing. Here's my moment. Cobb Vanth sees the Uber pulls up, and he gets in the passenger seat.
Yes! Oh Fuck, I was literally about to say that.
And Din is like, what the fuck do you think you're doing in my car? And he's like, we're driving, aren't we?
Grief Karga is... I'm about to sound insane. He cancels his Uber until he gets Din. He's like intentionally trying to set up a scenario wherein he has to sit with Din, and Din is like, Grief, why are we doing this? And he's like, well, I would love to hear more about your beautiful green child.
Grief is fully the guy that's in the Uber, and the Uber driver is like, hey, thanks. And Grief is like, here's my card. We should hang out. Like in our free time, we should go like hang out. I'd love to hear more about your kid. You seem like a really great guy. I'd love to be friends. And Din's like, okay. Cara Dune gets in and she breaks the windows.
Who's the person who like throws up in the Uber who he has to like...
Toro
That
Calican.
Is also Cobb Vance.
I was about to say that too, Mel.
Toro Calican. He's like, hey, I'd like Toro. He's like picking up Toro Calican from the club at like 2 a.m. And first of all, he's given the wrong fucking address. And he's like, oh, I'm gonna throw up. And Din is like, please don't throw up in my car. And he's like, too late. And he's like, fuck.
What does Fennec do?
I feel like Fennec is just completely silent the entire ride. This is who I think would be very interesting. The Uber pool that is Bo-Katan and the Night Owls. they are getting into politics and religion immediately. And he's like, I don't like the energy you have brought into the studio today. Thank you.
He's like blasting music. He's like, I can't take this.
Bo-Katan sits in the middle seat. This is my theory. First of all, she sits in the middle seat. Second of all, she reaches her head over the front seat and is like, you Mandalorian? And he's like, yes. And she's like, interesting. I just had some notes about that. She like just starts talking about like,
oh no.
Him. Also, I would say Fennec treats the Uber like he's like, hi, how are you? And she's like, you know where to go. Like she treats it like a professional chauffeur situation, doesn't say a word, and then who do we think out of the Mandalorian would not tip aside from Bo-Katan? Bo-Katan would not tip after an Uber.
Calican.
So true, Bestie.
Also,
he throws up in the car, and the next morning Uber is like, do you want to tip your driver? He's like, fuck no.
That, and then additionally, I do like the idea of Pelimato not tipping in the app, but she gives him like $10 like hard cash, and he's like, what? And she's like, the app will take most of this away. I'm just giving you direct to the source.
She's like deeply conspiratorial. She's like, you don't know. They'll take the money from you. You don't understand.
Pelly, she'll talk the whole time about how like the issue of like taxi medallions and like what Uber is doing to this country and whatever, and people like, here, I know I'm not supposed to, but a little bit on the side. And he's like, I really can't by the guild rules, whatever. He's like, I really can't, like, I have to, and I'll get in trouble, whatever. And she's like, this is what happens in capitalism. You know what I mean?
I like the idea where just like she's like, I'm leaving this here. And she like pats it on the seat and leaves.
Oh, and she's the one. She gets in. It's an Uber pool with her pit droids, and her pit droids have to use she asked for a USB charger.
Oh,
charge your pit droids in the fucking car.
I'm in love with this. Luke Skywalker is obviously the one that gets in the Uber and is like, hi.
I can't with this.
He didn't order the Uber. Actually, like he ordered a different Uber, and then he got in the wrong car.
I like the idea that Luke Skywalker just gets into a stranger's car, and Din is like, "Can I help you?"
Well, no,
Din is fully off hours, but Luke saw the little Uber sign in his dash, and he was like, "Oh my god, my Uber's here!" And Leia's like, "No, it's not it!" And he's too late. He's gone.
I love that so much because also he's like, I'll pay you. And it's like, money is money. I got places to be.
Well, unlike a lot of the Ubers, they all look the same because they're all like a black Toyota Camry. So like, he's just like, oh, it's a black Toyota Camry. And he gets in and he's like,
Luke is just gay and he doesn't know what a Camry is. Literally, he sees like the color and he's like, that's it. There are 4 different models of car in a lineup. And he's like, they're all red. So it could be any one of them.
And then freaking Din just accepts because he's like, I got a child to feed.
Literally, he's like, all right, you have a destination in mind.
Anyways, what would Bossk do for a job?
I thought about it, and this is really stupid, but I was just like, what about, y'all know, like, Steve Irwin, Crocodile Hunter, but it's Bossk.
No!
I literally was going to say, like, some form of zookeeper is Bossk's energy, so that actually does work a lot.
Wait, is he Joe Exotic?
No!
Because he's immoral? He's
No.
Joe, or is he Carol Baskin?
Maybe he like started off like that, but he like reunites with his sister, and like she's just like, you can't be doing this kind of shit, and he's like, you right.
No, he's Joe Exotic because he goes to jail and then he like realizes the error of his ways.
Listen, you assume that I know things about Joe Exotic, which I don't.
I didn't.
No, and then he becomes.
So all I know about that, he's the one that's related to the Carol Baskin lady, right?
Yeah, no, I didn't know
Who's Carol
anything.
Baskin? Or Singh?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, exactly. Like, who wants to kill him?
I like the idea of Bossk on the Discovery Channel. I think
Yeah.
that'd be very, like, I don't know a lot
Have you
about Joe
ever-
Exotic, but like, I feel like he'd just get really into animals. And I
Have
appreciate
y'all
that.
ever seen like Snoop Dogg narrate like some Animal Planet, like whatever the fuck, like videos?
Oh yeah, like the Earth videos that everybody gets really high to.
Yeah. But like, what about it's Bossk narrating one of those like animal like documentaries?
He's the host of Zaboomafoo.
Not the
Damn,
host.
I was
of
literally
Zaboom.
about to say Zaboomafos. Fuck you. Me and you and Zaboomafos.
I like how all the other jobs were like, oh, he'd be a plumber or like a truck driver, and then we get to Bossk and it's like he'd be a man implicated in a murder that has to do with big cats.
I was just saying crocodile hunter Bossk, and Klaudia dragged Joe Exotic into this.
I think Bossk would be the Joe Exotic. Sorry.
I do like the idea of Bossk with an Australian accent, though. That is very
He
funny.
still has
to
his
me.
little like the little
Yeah, he's like his
reptile like
reptile
hiss. Yeah.
So awesome.
Shrimp
other-
on the Barbie.
I can't do anywhere near an Australian accent, but the idea of the long S's with that would be very funny to me.
If only Ollie was here, they'd be able to do
Literally.
it.
For the final segment of our podcast, we're going to be playing a little game called Name That Ship. Name That Ship is basically a segment wherein one of our hosts, or multiple of our hosts, bring in a fan fiction from the dark reaches of AO3. Sometimes it's a cursed ship, and that's why they're bringing it to the podcast. Sometimes it's just like funny tags, but it always tells a story. This is no hate to, the authors of these fan fictions. Fan fiction writers are the backbone of fandom communities. So no disrespect. We're not making fun of your fan fiction. We simply want to observe it, like anthropologists.
Like Bossk.
Okay, anthropologist Bossk. I'm kind of into that. The fanfiction I brought to you today doesn't have a ship, but it is a crossover of the century. It made me laugh out loud. I've just actually read the author's note. This has been mentioned in another podcast before. That's how this buck wild this is. So buckle up. The name of this fanfiction is called Baby, Take a Chance with Me. What I need you to guess is basically the crossover, but just bear with me. Characters include Character A, Character B, Character C, Character D, Character F, The Mandalorian, Toro Calican, Pelimato. Additional tags. They're gonna make a big star out of me. It's been a long, long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. May the blank be with you. The Fab Force. Insert character from Star Wars is the fifth blank.
Queer Eye?
No, it is not Queer Eye.
Not Queer Eye. What's that?
It's not McElroy. It's not McElroy.
It's not the McElroys, no.
Oh, Jesus.
Do you want me to read the summary?
Yes.
Okay. So Character A, Character B, Character C, and Character D. Struggling musicians with a semi-regular gig at Mos Eisley Cantina on the planet of Tatooine take on a gifted young horn player whom they nickname a name. In this story inspired by the television show The Mandalorian.
Was Din Djarin sold to One Direction?
No, Din Djarin was not
Okay.
sold to One Direction.
So are the characters, the Star Wars characters, all from The Mandalorian?
Yes.
So some of them are from the thing that's being crossed over, and some of them are from The Mandalorian, right?
Yes. Specifically, the gifted young horn player is a character from The Mandalorian.
Grogu?
Yes.
The way that I was gonna say Fennec Shand, but oh well.
No.
Is Din one of the characters?
No. To the rest of the characters, like in this fan fiction are from the crossover. And Noah, earlier you said sold to One Direction. You're not too off.
Big Time Rush?
No.
Not
Is
Big
it a
Time
boy
Rush.
band?
Jonas
I mean,
Brothers?
it's in a way a boy band.
The Beatles?
Yes, it is the Beatles. So are you ready to reread the tags with me real quick?
Yeah.
No!
They're gonna make a big star out of me. It's been a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
I
May
hate
the
this.
May the Beatles be with you.
Oh,
And then my favorite tag of all time, Baby Yoda is the fifth Beatle.
I hate it here.
That's so funny.
Get those British men away from him.
It gets better.
I love how you said One Direction. You said a boy band, kind of. Like, they are the original.
They are the boy band. Also followed by, hey, can I read you the first sentence real quick? Hey, Aunt Pelly, I'm home, shouted John Leno Naka.
No!
That is a combination of John Lennon and Hondo Onaka's name.
That...
Did they fuck in this band?
I hope
Did you
not.
fuck John Lennon, Hano? So Grogu is a talented horn player who
Yes.
becomes the
The
fifth
fifth
Beatle,
Beatle, yes.
alongside a version of John Lennon. Wait,
Like-
John Lennon's child by Hondo Onaka?
No, I think it's just a combination. It's just like,
Are they married?
I don't know, because Pelimoto is John Leno Naka's aunt. So,
This is
Okay.
so much to take in.
Oh.
also followed by, would you like to find out how I found this fan fiction?
I
Yeah.
would love to.
I was going down through the fucking Toro Calican tag, and I
So I'm not gonna read you the name of the fic because it will give it away. It is character A / character B. I'm not gonna name this character because I will also give away who the ship is. Rush Clovis, Savage Opress, Aura Singh, Padme Amidala, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Asajj Ventress, C-3PO, R2-D2, Cad Bane, Chewbacca, Dengar, Star Wars, Bossk, IG-88, Zuckuss, Lando Calrissian, Greedo, Star Wars, Ever After / Cinderella AU, Slowburn, Fairy Tale Elements, Sci-Fi Setting, Fluff, No Smut, Rush is super manipulative, Cad Bane is a creeper, Character A is a ball of sunshine that deserves better. Character B is a smug but lovable asshole. Jedi training, disguises, mistaken identity, hostage situations, rescue missions, fight scenes on top a spaceship. Obi-Wan is sad. Padme outlives Anakin by quite a lot. Sidious dies early. No Darth Vader / Darkseid Anakin. Aura is super thirsty for character B. Savage is actually a decent person to character A. Other character that I didn't want to list. Character C is a super protective badass. Romance, happy ending, minor character death.
Is this Jango?
No.
No, Obi-Wan was mentioned and he wasn't.
Yeah, because I listed Obi-Wan.
Is a clone or Jango one of them?
No.
Is a Jedi one of them?
Yes. But,
Did
yeah.
you mention Ahsoka at all? I can't remember.
No, Ahsoka is not in this.
Dooku?
No, it's not Craig.
Qui-Gon?
No.
Is Anakin one of them?
No, I mentioned Anakin.
Oh, sorry.
Helps?
Quinlan Voss?
No. No.
But they are a Jedi from the Clone Wars.
No.
Oh.
Oh.
Luke Skywalker?
They're a Force
Yes.
user? Wait, what?
Luke Skywalker?
Yes. Luke is character A.
Wait, I'm sorry, what?
Okay, so this is an AU where I'm guessing Padme had the twins earlier.
Or she survived and then it became like, or Luke
Post
got to,
Order 66, right?
Kinda.
Order 66 doesn't happen.
It didn't happen
Okay,
because,
yeah.
they did kill Palps.
Is
But
it-
Anakin is because it said that you said that Padme outlived Anakin. So Anakin
Yeah,
is dead in
Anakin
this thing.
died.
Is the other character a bounty hunter, a Jedi?
They're not a bounty hunter or a Jedi.
Are they a Force user?
No.
Okay, are they a character from the original trilogy?
Yes.
Biggs Dark Lighter.
No.
Han Solo.
Yes.
It's Luke and Han?
Yeah, it's a
And Aura Singh is a simp for Han.
I mean,
Yeah, character C was Leia, by the way. That's why I didn't want to say like. But this is a Cinderella AU or
Okay,
like
go
ever
off.
after. It's called The Prince and the Farm Boy. Anakin dies during the Clone Wars. They do manage to kill Palpatine. Like Anakin never became, dark side boy. He passed away. Leia actually is not related to Luke in this fic, to my understanding. She is like Bail Organa and like Brea Organa's actual like child. Padme just gave birth to Luke. She only had one kid. And Anakin passed away, and then she was like sad because she was like, oh no, my husband and like my poor son will have no father. And then later on in like Luke's life, she marries Rush Clovis, unfortunately. And his two adopted children, who become Luke's step siblings, are Savage Opress and Aura Singh.
Huh?
I'm sorry?
And Han is a prince from a different planet.
Child.
Oh, good for Savage.
Yeah, you want the summary? I was reading actually a couple chapters of this. It doesn't seem that bad, actually. I was just kind of like, huh?
When Luke's widowed mother marries her old friend Rush Clovis and brings him and his children to live at her estate, Luke thinks his wish for a family has finally come true. Unfortunately, things don't turn out quite the way he had expected. Now every day is a struggle just to survive his awful stepfamily. But when a daring mission to rescue his droid leads to a chance encounter with the handsome prince of another planet, Luke's life takes a turn for the complicated. All he has to do now is keep his newly formed relationship a secret from his stepfamily, while keeping his true identity hidden from a rather unusually roguish prince.
Okay, I love Luke and Han, but Rush Clovis does make me want to beat my head in.
Yeah,
evil stepmother.
He's the evil stepmother.
I did just have the horrible thought of Luke Skywalker as portrayed by Camila Cabello. In
No!
Not Girl Boss Luke Skywalker!
Yeah, and I found this fic because I was looking through the Zuckuss tag.
I forgot Zuckuss is one of the
Yeah,
characters
Zuckuss is in here, but
is he one
this
of the
fic
mice?
has 70. I don't know what.
Oh my god, the idea of the mouse droids being the mice in the game
No.
is very funny.
No, okay, how are mouse
MSC6
droids?
as played by James Corden.
Thank you so much for joining us this week for our Bounty Hunter episode on the road to the Book of Boba Fett on RuPaul's Pod Race. Our episodes usually drop on Sundays. For updates, Star Wars news, more cursed shit, you can follow us on social media at RuPaul's Pod Race on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. If you really love the show, please rate and review our show on Apple Podcasts and also Podchaser. Even if you don't use Apple Podcasts as your podcatcher or you've never used Podchaser before, check it out. It is very helpful. Thank you so much. As always, thanks for joining us. May the Force be with you, and don't kriff it up.
Waka waka.
Waka waka.
Waka waka.